I have the pleasure of introducing a great guy. Larry Arnn is the president of Hillsdale College, and there is no one you'd rather have a beer or a glass of wine with and talk about sports. And at the same time, there's no one who can inspire you more by talking about the great issues of our day and the great men of our history. He is as well-rounded a man as I've ever known, and a great friend. He studied Aristotle and Lincoln with Harry Jaffa, Churchill with Martin Gilbert at Oxford. He was a founding member here at Claremont Institute in 1979. He served as Claremont's second president from 1985 to 2000. He's currently the vice chairman of the board of directors. In 2000, he became the 12th president of Hillsdale College. He's the author of Liberty and Learning, The Evolution of American Education. And in February, a wonderful book is coming out. He's publishing The Founder's Key, the divine and natural connection between the Declaration and the Constitution and what we risk by losing it. There is a war in higher education, and Larry Arnn is on the front lines, and I'm proud to serve at his side as vice chairman of the board of Hillsdale, and delighted he's here tonight. Please welcome Dr. Larry P. Arnn.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you all for being here. Pat's a good friend of mine, and he and I and Chris Flannery and Doug Jeffrey are here tonight to represent the old days, and we're past it. Chris and I have, he has two daughters, only one of them's here, and I have two daughters, and they're grown up and they're beautiful women, and they don't look like their fathers at all, thank God. And Doug Jeffrey, you know, who worked here for 400 years, works with me at Hillsdale now. He's sitting over there eating a special meal right now. No longer are the days when men were men. I know I'm so long I can say anything about it. We're all very enthusiastic to have our speaker here tonight, and there are two reasons for that. One of them is, unlike so many politicians of our time, he's not running for president of the United States. And the second reason is, unlike so many politicians of our time, we wish that he were running for president. I'm not the largest man who begged him to run for that office. You'll hear from him soon, but nor the most effective, but thank God for him. The official biographer of Winston Churchill is a man named Sir Martin Gilbert, a very, very great historian, and I had the honor of meeting my wife in his house, and he's not here tonight, but somebody who looks, and I want her to remember this and tell her brother, who looks just like him except she's very good looking, is here tonight, a professor at UC Irvine, Margaret Gilbert. Maybe she should stand up. Where is that? I can't see her. Where is she? Well, wherever she is. Anyway, she's really great, and he's really great. I have one thing to tell you about Winston Churchill. We think of him as a great war leader, and now we live in a time of economic disruption and political crisis. What has he to say about that? On the 22nd of August, 1936, think of that, the 22nd of August, 1936. It's 3 years and a month before the Second World War. It's in the beginning of the second depth of the Great Depression, and Franklin Roosevelt is president. Franklin Roosevelt, whom he would later cultivate and befriend. In an essay in Collier's entitled, "What Good is a Constitution?" In the United States, economic crisis has led to an extension of the activities of the executive into the pillaring by irresponsible agitators of certain groups and sections of the population who are enemies of the rest. There have been efforts to exalt the power of the central government and to limit the rights of individuals. It has been sought to mobilize behind this reversal of the American tradition the selfishness of retirees on the benefits of Washington and also the patriotism of all who wish to see their country prosperous once more. Do you see what that means? It's exactly like today, right? Our country is occupied. In response to this, Churchill stands up in this essay, What Good is a Constitution, for constitutionalism. And in those days, what Franklin Roosevelt was saying in that very year is that the Constitution is a relic of an obsolete past. And the Speaker of the House 2 years ago was asked, what part of the Constitution gives you the power to pass a law requiring that people buy health insurance? And her response was, and it's on the internet in a recording, you can hear her voice. And if you listen, you'll hear the derision in her voice. Are you serious? Are you serious? Churchill says that constitutions are necessary because, quote, I hold that governments are meant to be and must remain the servants of the citizens, that states and federations only come into existence and can only be justified by serving the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness of every home and family and individual in the land. The true right and power rest in the individual. Now, this paragraph is an answer not just to the growth of the state, but to the tyrannies that had spread all over the world and that were threatening and would result in the Second World War. It's a response not just to those who would seize the property of private people in free countries, it's a response to Hitler too. And it's opposite for exactly the same reason. Do you despair? First of all, that was 1936, that's 64, 74, 71, 75 years ago. And we're in the same spot again after all those glories. And also, you know, in a few months, if things go the way they go, government at all levels is soon to handle more than half of the gross domestic product of the country. And that means it won't be a liberal society anymore. But there are blessings to count. We had a board meeting today at the Claremont Institute, and it's growing and its plans are solid. Its chairman, Tom Klingenstein, is splendid and energetic and spreads order everywhere he goes. Brian Kennedy has taken my place, and I was so hoping he would fail. But he hasn't, and nobody misses me. Pat Sajak, a celebrity, does what nobody does in the celebrity world except Mr. Zucker over there. And it costs potentially to his career, although he's talented, so he just goes on. And Bill Bennett's radio program is growing in number, as we found today. And Tom Fuentes lives and fights. Congressman Ryan is like a great statesman, isn't he? You know, I know him a bit, and I can tell you, he acts like a man who can't help himself to me. And that's the gift, right? It isn't a calculation. It's love. And we're here tonight. And there are millions of people just like us. And we're called by a beauty. And it doesn't matter about us very much. It matters about the strength of the beauty. Can that be overcome by some bureaucratic project? Can these things that are so obviously counterproductive actually win a victory over the cause of human freedom? I'll tell you something, if you read Winston Churchill, you just will come to think, and you can't help but think, that ever to despair is an unforgivable sin. We are here. We are going to fight, and therefore, we are going to win. Yeah.